Hello, this is a video tutorial for Unit 3, Activity 1. And in Unit 3, we will be doing a novel study, and we will be reading the novel, The Great Gatsby. So the way this unit will be broken up is it'll be broken up into 5 activities, and in each activity you'll have to read about 30 pages of the novel. Usually that'll be about 2 chapters. And you'll have to complete some chapter questions so that you can make sure that you understood the chapters that you read. And then you need to complete assignments, which you'll submit to me either as discussion assignments or as Dropbox assignments, as we always have been doing. It's very important in Unit 3 that you keep up with the reading. If you fall behind on the reading, I think it's harder to catch up than it was in Unit 1 or Unit 2. So it's important that you complete the assigned reading in each activity by the ending of the week, and that you're ready to go the following week with the next activity and the next 2 chapters. So if we take a quick look here at Activity 1 itself, it's going to be an introduction of the novel. And so you'll meet the author, F. Scott Fitzgerald. There'll be a little bio here that you can watch on him. It's only about a little less than 4 minutes here, and it'll explain who F. Scott Fitzgerald is. I should say was. He's no longer alive, but he's considered one of the great American novelists in history, really. So we'll take a look at him, and then we'll take a look at the historical context behind the novel. So the novel will take place in the 1920s, which are commonly known as the Roaring Twenties. So this novel takes place almost 100 years ago. And the 1920s were a fascinating time in American and Canadian history. It was a time when there was a lot of money that was flowing. It seemed like it was possible to get rich in the 1920s, more so than in any other decade. Maybe that was more of a myth than a reality, but it felt like it was a very fast-paced, happening, fun-loving time. And so you can take a look at a video here on the Roaring Twenties and take a look at some of the history behind what we're going to be reading. And then we'll get into an introduction of the novel itself, and you'll get a little background, a little bit on Jay Gatsby, who's going to be the novel's lead character. Jay Gatsby is going to live in a very fancy mansion, and it's actually based on a real-life castle. And you can take a look at that castle here and take a look at a website that's actually devoted to it. It's in New York State, and that's where our story is going to take place, is in and around New York City. And so again, you can get a little taste for how wealthy one of the lead characters in the story is going to be. In order to start reading, I would give you some tips here on how to get started with the novel. Number one, there's 2 different ways that you can, or 2 different formats that you can read the novel in, and there's 2 different websites here. One's called Planet eBook, and the other one's called ESL Bits. And if you go to Planet eBook, you'll get the novel in text form here, and you can increase the size and make the novel bigger here. And you can go through literally each page of the novel, and you can read chapters 1, chapters 2, etc. here, and so on. So you can read the whole novel right here online. You can download this onto whatever device you like, and again, you can read the novel right here. But if you prefer, you can go to this ESL site, and you can both read and listen to the novel. And so on this website, they've got the novel broken up into different parts. It goes beyond just chapters. So they've got chapter 1 broken up into 3 and chapter 2 broken up into 3. So you click on the first part here. And as you can see, you can you can read the novel, so you get the first part of chapter 1 right here, but you can also listen to it right up here, and you can choose the speed at which you want to listen to it as well too. So it's up to you. If you want, you can just read it straightforward right on this website, but if you prefer, you can read and listen here. I know that there are some students that really have a problem, and I can kind of relate to this, but they really have a problem reading online, and they prefer to read a book as a hard copy. And even though the school is technically closed right now, we can still probably work out a way for you to come in and pick up a paperback novel. So if you want, you can email me. If you really don't want to read or listen to the novel online, let me know, and I can see about getting you a hard copy of the book, a paperback version. Okay. But once you've decided how you want to read the novel, what I'm asking you to do for activity 1 here is to read the first 2 chapters. Okay, so you'll need to read chapters 1 and chapters 2, which is about 30 pages, and that's about what you would expect every week. Is every week you'll read 1 or 2 chapters, usually 2 chapters, but there's 1 chapter later on that's pretty big, so we'll do an activity focusing only on that 1 chapter. But expect to read about 30 pages each week. What I have done too is I've given you these Great Gatsby Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 questions. Each week in the activity, I will give you a set of chapter questions that you can answer. And you can answer them while you're reading, or you can wait till you're finished reading and answer them right afterwards. But these chapter questions are not being submitted to me as an assignment, but they're meant as your study guide. If you can answer these chapter questions, you should feel like you understood chapters 1 and chapters 2. And this should help you prepare for the assignments that we do in Unit 3 and eventually for the final exam at the ending of the semester, because this unit, the Great Gatsby Unit 3, will be on our final exam. And finally, just a last tip here before you start reading. While you're reading the novel, make a character list. Doesn't have to be short, it can be long, but make a character list as you go. Every time a new character is introduced in the novel, jot down that character's name and write a short statement explaining who the character is. I find that maybe the best way to make sure that you're understanding a novel is to make sure that you know the characters. If you know the characters, you'll generally know the events and the background of what's happening in the novel. So that's just another pre-reading tip, is I would suggest to keep track of a character list. So the last bit down here in the content, it'll say required reading, and at the ending of every content page in Unit 3, it'll tell you what you need to read. And in this case, it's Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. And so once you've gone through and read those 2 chapters and hopefully answered these chapter questions, you can move on to the assignment page here. And if we look at the assignment page, there's only 1 assignment this week, and it's not a really big one. We're starting a little bit slow here. I'm hoping I can get you started with the reading and give you a small assignment here, and then we'll pick up steam and maybe do some bigger assignments as we go on in activities 2 and 3. But for activity 1, there's just a discussion assignment, and it says, in The Great Gatsby, many of the characters are extremely wealthy, and the characters who are not wealthy, they tend to dream about becoming wealthy. So that's going to be a major theme in the book. So I'm curious, does money lead to happiness? These characters are all going to be striving to be wealthy, to keep their money, or to gain more money. Is that what leads people to happiness? And so I'm asking your opinion, can money buy happiness? And are the rich happier than the poor and working class? Would you be happier if you had more money? And I've asked you to provide 2 specific examples from chapters 1 or chapters 2 of the novel. So show me that you read the required reading for the week. And also include 2 specific examples either from your own life or from the real world to support your opinion. So again, you're going to have at least 4 examples to support your opinion about whether money leads to happiness. 2 examples from the book, and then 2 examples either from your life or from the real world. And then as always, after you post your own thread, you're going to reply to 2 classmates. So you can click right on the discussion. And as usual, you can start your own thread. And then once students have started to post, you can reply to other students. And that's it for Unit 3 Activity 1. If you have any questions about the activity or about this unit or about the novel, please let me know.